We're talking the Met Gala and adopting dogs, so stay tuned. I'm Robert,
And I'm Daniel.
and this is Grizzly Kiki. Toss is on assignment in Los Angeles. So he has been tasked with doing a 500-word essay for when he comes back. He doesn't know that yet, but just kidding.
This feels like old times. It's been so long,
Oh, yeah, me and you in separate rooms.
right? Shut up.
Sounds like a Tennessee Williams play.
I know. The equipment's gotten
Speaking of
so much
Tennessee
lighter.
Williams, it has gotten lighter. We're very kind of low tech,
Yeah.
because we're trying to emphasize our personalities this time around. That's a fun way of putting it, right? Is that right? Yeah. So, let's talk. So today is the first Monday in May, the day that we're recording this, and so we felt that it was our duty to start off the episode by talking about the Met Gala. Just a little, just a tiny bit, just a little tiny bit. And I am, of course, wearing my dandy look. I mean, what would a dandy be without this? But seriously, I woke up this morning thinking about, or maybe it wasn't this morning, it was like a couple mornings ago, I was thinking about the Met Gala because I was like, oh my God, it's coming up. And it's always this thing that kind of like, jump scares out at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, it's today. But I love watching the coverage, even though I guess I'm sort of like not paying attention to it approaching, and being able to get like excited for real. What is your favorite part about the Met Gala?
I think, well, having interned at the Costume Institute like 20 years ago, it's a really interesting place because it's not necessarily ethnographic, the collection. It's fashion. Like by costume, they mean like what you wear on a daily basis. You know what I mean?
Now,
And things
hold on
like
a
that.
second. By ethnographic, what do you mean?
So like
What does that mean?
you're not going to find traditional like regional costume, right? In
Okay.
at the Costume Institute. There's another department of the Met that specializes in that. This is more fashion and like clothing, but not necessarily everyday clothing. It's like high fashion throughout the ages, going back. I think the oldest piece they have is from the 1400s, I think.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, you'd be surprised how old, like how long clothing can last under the right conditions. And it's something I've always really enjoyed their shows. So I mean, I interned in the Costume Institute Library, which is a whole other um kind of scope of work, but it was really interesting while I was there. But my favorite part is learning what the theme is every year, because from superhero fashion to like rock fashion and Anglomania and all sorts of things like that, there's always it's never boring, the theme. Um no.
I disagree, but sure.
I don't know. I've been going to I mean, I haven't gone in a while just because I get museumed out. Um, but they just do such a good job. It's the only department at the Met that has to fund itself, which is a fun fact.
Mm.
So the Costume Institute Gala, which used to be known as the Party of the Year when Diana Vreeland was head of the Costume Institute, is essentially a fundraiser for that department. It doesn't receive funding from the main part of the Met. I don't really know why, but that's what it's for. So all these ticket sales go toward maintaining the collection, purchasing new pieces, investing in new equipment, because textiles are some of the hardest and most complicated things um, to store and to preserve. Like Iris Van Herpen, who works in these really unconventional materials like plastic, right? Even pieces from just 20 years ago are deteriorating and need special care. So that's what the Costume Institute Gala is for. It's to raise money. And that's why they have so many famous people attend. It's to draw attention and to make people who maybe aren't famous, right? Like Tiana Taylor, or Pharrell, for
Tiana Taylor's
example.
famous.
No, who aren't famous like her. I meant who are not.
Oh,
Yeah, they invite all these people so that people who are not them want to buy tickets to be near them. That's
oh,
yeah.
you articulated that in a very strange way.
Yes, I
I
realize
wanted
that.
to ask you, I wanted to ask if you feel like the lack of funding is in some way a slight to fashion.
I don't know. It's I honestly don't know. I don't think so because it's a really respected like institution within the institution, as it
Right.
were. But it is curious to me that that has always been the case. It may be slightly different now, but I do think that um, I don't think it's a slight at all. Actually, I mean now it's the Anna Wintour Costume Institute at the Met, so they've changed the name over the years. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's a slight toward fashion, but museums operate in all sorts of weird ways. So it is probably unique to that particular department, I think.
I'd always wondered since learning that piece of information, I'd always kind of wondered if that's, if it lives or if the fact that there's no funding is like antiquated thinking in terms of how people thought about fashion. But I feel like fashion has been respected for,
Yeah.
longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm wrong.
And if somebody
Um,
watching knows more than me about the funding, please chime in because that's just my own like scope of knowledge about that.
no, really. I mean, I would love to know. I'm not being
Yeah.
hyperbolic when I say that. Um, I think my favorite theme in recent memory was camp because everyone just kind of did something really fun
Mm.
and flamboyant. There was a lot of flamboyance that year, and it was really like it was a really good time. Also, Gaga was there, but whatever. Um, but I feel like typically the theme is a little boring, but I don't think there are boring themes. I think there are boring people.
Mm.
Because not everybody makes a meal out of the opportunity to wear something extravagant.
Hmm. Oh, you're talking
Sometimes
specifically about the red carpet or the whatever color
the blue
carpet.
carpet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the way people, I think the whole point is to create a show, like you were saying, and it's supposed to help continue to preserve fashion, and there are all these people that they're inviting to essentially be the commercial for this thing that is worth
Mm-hmm.
funding,
Yeah.
and they're kind of being quiet and simple
Mm-hmm.
and even kind of like classic about it when that's not the brief,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, that does bug me sometimes,
I
but
mean, it has changed a lot over the years. Like only I think in 2019, for the camp exhibition was the first time that they even streamed the cart like the arrivals. Like that was never it was never a thing. The adhering to a specific theme
so they
is
wouldn't show it on E every year.
no, not really, not really.
Oh,
And for a long time, there was no coverage at all, like like in the society papers, because this idea of having celebrities come to this, it's like within the last maybe 15, 20 years. But this, the Costume Institute has been around since I think the early 80s, late 70s. I know my mother took me to an Yves Saint Laurent show when I was a baby,
wow.
at the Costume Institute. So just to give you an idea of how long it's been around. Um, but I think that this televising and the kind of really extreme nature of the fashions, like not being just like a nice dress or a nice suit, that's also very recent, in terms of like how we're looking at it. Um, so I
You
just
mean
think
in the sense that people treat their outfits as if they're going to an award show? That
yes,
element of it. Okay.
yeah, yeah, it's fairly like
I would say
new.
there's more care taken to these outfits than an award show.
Oh, absolutely, and
More
I think
more character even in the
yeah, I
in the
I think
clothing.
it being thematic is really cool because it gives you like and a winter who organizes the whole thing can decide who goes and who doesn't. Um, it like some people even run their outfits by her before they collaborate on them with a designer, right?
Okay,
Because she
but
has a
why though? Because she
because
never
she's
comes. Because she never comes on theme.
no, but
She's
neither does
always.
RuPaul.
Mm,
I don't know. Listen, I
I
don't make the rules.
disagree.
It's this white lady with a bob who dictates what's in fashion and always wears like a slip dress and a coat. Uh, that's just what she does. Um, and I don't know.
It's just
I don't know.
disappointing. Who wants to throw a party and then not be on theme to your own party? It doesn't make sense to
Maybe
me. But anyway,
I don't really know much about her, but I feel like because she kind of is it's interesting because it's basically her event, but she never becomes the focus of it at all, like ever. Um,
okay,
so I think it's interesting. I don't really know why that's the case, but I don't know. It's just what she does, I guess.
weird. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird and it's humorless.
Well,
And I feel like fashion should never be humorless. But
no.
anyway, what do I know? So the reason that my eyes have been darting around, I don't know if you've noticed, is Gus is just jumping on literally everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was just on the windowsill. And
Oh,
I
he's my
was
favorite
like,
spot.
yeah, and I was trying to decide whether to say something to him. And the way he gets up there, like with ease, because we're at work wondering how did he get up there? And then
Mm-hmm.
I see him do it and I'm like, "Oh, just like a cat would, basically."
Yeah. He and I can tell you after obsessively watching the camera over the past week, he's it didn't start out so smooth. There were a few times where he hit the radiator and just like mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
he had to fall down a few times to
Mm-hmm.
get back up and
Yeah.
God. I just anyway, we want to talk about the process of adopting a dog and not just the like what goes into it in terms of filling out paperwork and where to go and stuff like that, but other stuff that I think most people are not really considering because I don't have a lot of experience with being a dog owner. Like Gus will hopefully be the longest dog I've ever had. Or not, I don't mean in that sense. I would like to have other dogs, but I would also like for us to not live in an apartment so that we can have other dogs and it be okay and they be of varying sizes and all that stuff. But uh the most experience I've had with having a dog has been about 6 months before Gus. And so of there was a lot of stuff that I was not really prepared for that is now here. And we got to figure it out. And it's been challenging, but it's it's interesting how flippant people can be about adopting a dog or buying a dog even.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much preparation that even we didn't take. Like we're essentially saying learn from our mistakes for some of these components that we're going to talk about. But there were so many precautions that we could have taken, and we didn't. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it was because we've wanted a dog for so long. I mean, we got a turtle as kind of like a stand-in pet almost, even though she's her own thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's very much her own thing.
Yeah.
But I think we really wanted a dog, and this is the first time that we've lived somewhere where we can have a dog, and so we wanted to do it as fast as we could. And I don't know that if I had to do it over again, that I would have been as gung ho about getting a dog right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. What are your overall thoughts about this topic?
Um, I would say maybe we should have shopped around more. And I know they like say adopt, don't shop. That's not like I don't actually mean shop. I mean think about exactly what type of dog we wanted and how old and all these other things. So I think about that,
But
but at
like,
the same
don't
time,
get it twisted out there in TV land. Adopting a dog is very much like shopping for a dog.
it really is.
They're
It
very
is.
similar.
Yeah. But right, it's not
Because like
like they're
we were enamored with one dog and we were ready to sign the papers, and then the woman who was kind of showing us around was like, "Have you seen this one?" And she like unveiled Gus, and we were like, "Oh,
Mhm.
Gus!"
Yeah.
Like
Well, and
it
he was
just
the one that we went there to see anyway, but
yeah.
he wasn't there yet. I mean, well, so wait, with all that being said, I think the thing is that like having adopted dogs in the past, it's like we would always go to the North Shore Animal League and we would walk in and you kind of just have to like see what they have. Again, this was like before, there was a lot of this on the internet and stuff like that. But even with when we ended up adopting Gus through Peace for Paws, like I don't know, like yeah, there's all this stuff that we could have done, but we knew we wanted to adopt a dog. We understood the space limitations we had, the weight limitations. Like we weren't going in having a one bedroom apartment and wanting to like adopt a mastiff. Do you know what I mean? Because my
Right.
question was, okay, how much is this one going to weigh? How much is that one going to weigh? How much does she weigh now? Because you can't just like sneak in. I mean, you can sneak in like a big living being, and hope that your building isn't going to say something. Like that's not fair to the animal. It's not fair to you. You could get evicted. Like there's all these things that could happen, and people do test that, but we're not those type of people,
Our
right? And
neighbors
and
are people who
and
test.
yeah, and also like I never thought because I've never really had tiny dogs. I mean, I had a Pekingese, but he was my mother's dog. I've never had like a little dog, and so I am still getting used to how little he is. But again, with all that being said, there's like a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda, but a lot like when I bought our turtles off the street 11 years ago, that was an impulse, and I didn't know what we were going to do. But I'd had experience with dogs. I grew up with dogs, and I don't know. I like, yeah, we could have done so many things, but I think the fact of the matter is that when it came to adopting Gus, he had just arrived from transport. He looked like this tiny because he was so nervous, and essentially, if we didn't adopt him and take him home that day, I was like, they're gonna put him back into like general population, like they were gonna just put him back with all the noisy dogs at this dog hotel, or Lord knows what would have happened. And so he didn't have a foster family ready to take him home at the end of that adoption event, and so he just looked so scared and sad that it was like, well, he's manageable in size, he's 2 years old, he's been neutered, right? There's all these things that are like, okay, so
Potty trained,
potty
supposedly good with
trained.
other dogs and with
Yeah,
people.
well, exactly. So all of those things said this could be really good. So we went ahead and did it. Um, and
Hmm.
so nobody can see this, but he has a little hedgehog, which like I got for him, and he would not play with for the longest time. And now it's like his favorite thing, and he's totally showing off for the both of us because we're doing something.
Well, even before adopting a dog, and we're not gonna go into like too much detail on how the adoption process is, but um, one of the things that I think people fall prey to are these scams where people pretend to have dogs for adoption,
Mm-hmm.
and they ask you to give a deposit somehow where you're giving them money electronically and before speaking to anyone on the phone or meeting the dog in person. And a lot of the time, the posts are for they'll say one breed in the post, but the photo will be of a completely different breed of dog.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty good, like, if you're not actually talking to a person, if they're not encouraging you to come and meet the dog before you agree to adopt or even to foster,
Mm-hmm.
like there's a red flag. And
Yeah.
I only point this out because I didn't even know this was a thing until we fell, but not really fell, like we half fell for a scam.
Yeah.
We basically we saw this we found this Facebook group that was like rehoming dogs, and so we reached out about a particular post of theirs, and before I knew it, they were asking me to email them, and then that would have probably led to them requesting a deposit, and so and there are a lot of these. They essentially they're like any other scam. They change shape, they change form, and then they come right
Mm-hmm.
back once they're found
Yeah.
out. And they are preying on people who are, I guess, desperate because we
Yeah.
were feeling pretty desperate when we were adopting Gus.
Mm-hmm.
So beware. Don't fall
Yeah.
for it. If it seems weird, if you're not actually speaking to a human being, that's a red flag. Don't do it. Just in general, actually, that's a pretty good
Also, like,
red flag.
it's particularly bad with the Facebook groups. Like, there's a few Facebook groups that are legitimate, like, and it depends on your area, you know. But I what we did, like, if it's two of you, reach out to the same Facebook group. They'll probably give you an email address, ask you for your email address or whatever. And if you get the same exact email, because that's what happened to Robert and I for two different dogs, and it's like you're describing the same dog, and it's the same exact email. Obviously, that's a red flag. But even easier is just take an image from the Facebook group and Google image search it, especially if it has like people and they're like, look, these people just adopted our dog. Like once you do that, it will appear so many times until you find the original one, and they're more often than not stealing it from like another legitimate Facebook group. And it's also really hard to report these fake Facebook groups and have them shut down because they look legitimate, and like, you know, Facebook is too busy policing queer people to shut down fake dog adoption groups. Anyway.
I mean, Facebook is a cesspool in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only on there because we were trying to adopt a dog.
Yep.
So, um, but it's not all bad.
No.
You know, I mean, it's not even a little bit bad. I just think that that there was a lot that I wasn't prepared for. But I will say it is great to have this little creature that is kind of like obsessed with you. I mean, that's my experience. Uh,
Must be nice.
he's obsessed with me. Literally, he's obsessed with me. And with Daniel, he's curious, but not curious enough to get super close,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
sucks.
Although I will say at first it really hurt my feelings, but
Ooh,
now, oh, there he is. Um, but
whoa.
now I'm just kind of like I'm too fidgety of a person for him to lay on all the time.
Uh-huh.
So I don't necessarily get annoyed about it anymore. It's just it's weird because he'll get really excited when I come home and he'll jump on me, but then I'll try and like pet him and he's like ah, but then he'll come toward me and like sit on my lap. It's a very tentative kind of thing, um, and it sucks because I'm the one who gives him the illegal snacks. Like when we give him, you know, like a human treat, and that's like again plain roast chicken, like something like, you know, that's not processed dog food, but that we've like vetted, because he loves roast chicken, like it's his favorite thing. He trembles for it.
Mm-hmm.
Even with all that, like, because growing up with our dog Shania, like there was, I think my brother was the one who would give her like the tastier treats, and like that's where she went. Do you know what I mean? Like she was like, you know, whatever. But we did have her from when she was a puppy. So I think Gus and I have a special relationship. it gets really, really nice when you're gone, because he looks to me to comfort him, and then he basically starts acting like he does with you. I just think that he is what I've read up on recently, which is he's hyper attached to you. Um, and
Hmm.
so that's why he gravitates to you, you know?
And
But you
what is
also
does that mean something special other than
hyper attached, it's like
different from separation anxiety, I guess.
it's part of separation anxiety, and it's the
Hmm.
fact that like I think because you picked him up first when we were at the rescue, like you were the first person who wasn't like overwhelming him, I guess, and gave him like a quiet space, and I was over there like doing paperwork. Um, so I think that it's like a level of imprinting that's like really intense. You know, it's like when you go in and put the laundry in across the hallway, he's like, you know, like losing his shit. Um, but I think it will get better the more we're away from home, you know. But I do love him. He's so weird and cute, and like we play tug of war. He'll bring me a toy to play with him. Like this morning, we were playing with the hedgehog before I left for work because I like to like play with him for a little bit before we're both gone for the day. And he came and jumped on the office chair and like placed it there for me, which is like the first time he's done that. And I'll give him treats. We'll sit together. Like, there's something really nice about having this like little thing to take care of, you know? It's great for your schedule. Like, there's a lot, like, I think it really gets us into more of a routine than we already had. Um, but also he's just like this funny little old man that we adopted. You know, like he gets so grumpy and he yells at himself in the mirror, and it's I think it's been really beautiful seeing him I don't know, like desarrollar. I don't know what the English word is, but like, you know, decompress
Yeah.
basically, you know? Um like he wouldn't play. Like we got all these toys for him, he wouldn't pay them any mind. And one day we were like, I think exercising. Yeah, we were doing like the resistance band things, and he just like picked up this duck you got him. Right, it was the duck, the yellow thing, and
Yep.
he was like playing with it. And we just stopped, and we were like, "Oh my god, he's like playing because I don't know, he thinks we're playing." I don't know what it was, but that was the day when he started actually like using his toys, and it made me so happy to
Yeah.
see him enjoy it, and even more happy when he actually broke his first toy. I was like, "Yay, he's a dog!" Um, yeah. Oh my god, like I want him to break all the toys, like
He's on his way.
you know.
He's well
But if
on
they
his
do
way.
break their toys, don't try and fix it. Just get rid of it because those little parts, it just they could get hurt. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
One thing that we didn't do that I think we would suggest everyone who is considering adopting a dog should do is to research a breed that works for you.
Mhm.
We went in blind with Gus. We had not discussed Chihuahuas or Dachshunds, so we had not done any research on either one. We were kind of just gonna go and see, and I don't even know why I didn't bother to look it up, but I figured I had friends who had had Chihuahuas and I'd had friends who had Dachshunds, so I feel like I was not expecting the reactivity that we're getting from him. Um, but other than that, I would say, uh, I don't know. I think he's just getting used to his surroundings.
Mhm.
So, because Gus is very reactive, but we have to remember that he comes from a more rural area and
Yeah.
we live in kind of like a city, you know,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of noise and
Mhm.
there's not a lot of grass. I mean, there's enough grass, but there's not plenty of for him to run around, and there isn't the opportunity for us to just open the back door and he runs out and
Yeah.
does his business, or even just goes for like a little jog around the backyard and then comes back inside.
Hmm.
It's not, those aren't possibilities for him, whereas they were possibilities before he was brought up to New Jersey.
Yeah.
So, it's something that I really suggest you look into. I honestly don't know that the reactivity would have been something that came up even if we had researched
No.
Chihuahuas and Dachshunds. And I don't remember. I know that Chihuahuas can be reactive and that that's sort of part of their DNA, but I had never met any Chihuahuas that are reactive the way that he is.
Yeah.
So, but I do see that he is like kind of adapting. Like typically when we come home from work, he's like a wind-up toy. He's like, ready to explode. And today it took a second for him to register that I was home, which I
Hmm.
think is a good thing. Even though he was looking at me, it was like he didn't run over immediately. It took him like a minute or two, and he wasn't running over and making noise. So it wasn't like he was in distress. It was, so I feel like the more he gets used to us, the more we get used to him. Like it's all
Hmm.
gonna be great.
Yeah. Yeah. It was weird. Because now is the first time that we've both been out of the house working at the same time in a very long time. Well, certainly since getting him, and we've only had him for about
Four
four
months.
4 months, so
Yeah.
there's still a long way to go. And he is like 2, yes, that's technically like a full-grown dog, but like he's only 2. Like he has to get used to things and used to us. Um, I mean, he just recently started like rolling over, like laying like fully stretched out on the floor on his side. So he's getting like less guarded, or like you come toward him and he like lays down and like rolls over just a little bit so you can like scratch him. That's all like within the last few weeks. So I feel like there's that. We do have him on anti-anxiety medication because he is incredibly anxious, and we would rather have him be a little bit calm than freak out and like risk hurting himself as soon as we leave, or around another dog. Like it does help with the reactivity. But we, been working with a vet to give him the right dosage so that it's just like a slight calming, and not this like kind of like a zombie like, state. Because there are times where I'm like, oh, he's on anti-anxiety medication. You could have fooled me. Um,
Pretty
but
much the whole time.
yeah, it's an interesting. Just in the past week since we left him home, we have like, I mean, I'm a bit obsessive, so I have 2 cameras in the apartment for different angles. Um, and I check it obsessively, and he's gone from howling for 6 hours to now only howling for maybe 2 intermittently because he's getting used to um, the schedule that we have. Something I learned recently is that they can like you, the human scent has a certain like lifespan in the apartment after you leave. And so dogs can tell, like they get used to that scent dissipating and then it comes back when you come back. So if you have a regular schedule, they kind of get used to that dissipation of your scent over the course of the day and then understand when it's going to come back again. And so that is also a part of like them getting used to you not being around, which I thought was very interesting.
It's strange and fascinating all at the same
Hmm.
time, but that
Yeah.
exists as a thing.
It's like we're his favorite cologne, you know?
I'm his favorite cologne.
You're okay, fine. You're his favorite cologne. Um, yeah, yeah. But I don't know, it's really fascinating just like watching him.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah, it's pretty great. Um, I wish that we were further along with training him, or that we were further along with him being
Hmm.
comfortable in these surroundings, so that we could take him to a dog park and he could run around with other dogs, or we could even just take him to a park and he
Hmm.
could be a dog without freaking out whenever a stranger walked by or if there was a dog around or something. It just, I don't know, it's hard, and I wish that, I mean, for his sake, I wish that, you know, he could be a little bit calmer around strangers
Yeah.
and other dogs.
Yeah.
Because I know he'd
He's
enjoy it.
yeah.
We
He's
basically
not
saw,
so.
we took him to a dog park one day when we were supposed to go for a training session. There was like a mishap where we were at the wrong location. And
Hmm.
so we went to a dog park where one whole side of the dog park was like shut down because it had like part of it had been blown away. And so we kept Gus on that side because we were just going to keep him on the leash anyway. And it wasn't safe to bring him inside with the other dogs. And you could see that every time like one of the dog owners would play fetch with their dog, that he would watch intently because he wanted to like run back and forth and, and be the dog to catch that ball and all that. And so I hope that one day
Hmm.
we can be those dog owners that are in the dog park instead of
Yes.
looking at it from the outside.
I believe there is hope because we've had people
Yeah.
over since having him, and the more we've I think 3 times maybe we've had people over. I don't remember, but each time he's been less. He's freaked out for less of a period of time, and we don't
Right.
have to like keep him on the leash or anything. Like he'll bark at them for a couple of minutes and then just like watch them, you know, and warms up eventually. So there is hope. I just think there might be some environmental changes that he's getting used to. I mean, it's a different climate. We have an elevator. It's an apartment, not a house. Like he has enough room, food, and water and everything because he's a very small dog. Um, but it's like a whole other part of the country. We're different people. I mean, who knows, um, what what he was used to. I've done my research and I've gotten a lot of information about him, but we weren't living with him in Kentucky when he was with his foster, so we don't, know all the circumstances
Right.
necessarily.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very excited to see what the future brings with Gus, with our little old
Hmm.
man. All right, well, that's today's episode. Thanks for joining us. And thanks for listening to us ramble about our cute little dog. I'm sure that, all of the pet owners, pet lovers out there probably understand why. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.